Bone is a graphic novel series done in black and white that follows three lost cousins from Boneville. Author of the series, Jeff Smith, describes his comics as a fish out of water story. The three cousins Phony Bone, Phone Bone, and Smiley Bone get lost in a fairy tale valley that has dark fantasy elements. They spend an entire year lost and along the way, make some friends while trying to stay out of trouble. Bone's original run was from 1991 to 2004. 55 issues were published. The Bone comics won many awards and became very popular. From 2005 to 2009, Scholastic printed colored versions of the comics. Also, a one-volume edition book was made, containing every issue from start to finish. Spin-offs have been made as well, such as Thorn, Tales from the Lantern, and a follow-up series titled Bone, Tall Tales. Now that I have briefly went over the story of Bone comic books, it's time to get to the main point of this video. In October of 2019, Netflix announced that they were going to develop a Bone animated series. Fans of the comics were thrilled to finally see Bone go from the page to the TV screen. However, after the initial announcement, the project was quietly put on hold due to the pandemic's effect on the entertainment industry in 2020. Creator of the Bone series, Jeff Smith, stayed positive, and instead of waiting around, he gathered an amazing team to put together the animated series. Smith watched a lot of Netflix and Cartoon Network, so he began asking if certain people from his favorite shows were available. By the time Netflix was ready to start production, Jeff Smith said he was able to get everyone he wanted to work on the show. Finally, at San Diego Comic-Con in 2021, Smith spoke on the animated series and said it's currently in the writing process. This, alongside with having a great team, was good news for fans and generated excitement for the show once again. 4 months later, Jeff Smith was interviewed by Polygon for the 30th anniversary of Bone. He describes the journey of Bone and how it got popular. From working with Disney to getting the deal with Scholastic to make colored versions of the comics. Later on, the interviewer asks about the Netflix series. Smith said that it's going much better than previous attempts to bring Bone to the screen, going on to say that he once had a movie deal with Paramount and Nickelodeon. In the late 90s, when Bone was still being published, Nickelodeon began working with Smith to produce a Bone animated film. Jeff's vision was to have no music in the film. He wanted it to be different than all of the other animated features that were being made at the time, such as Disney movies filled with musical segments. Nickelodeon had an idea to put a Britney Spears song in the Bone movie. After a clash of ideas, Smith told Nick that he needed a written agreement that there would be no songs. Nickelodeon finally granted this request so everyone could move forward with the project. It seemed like Smith and Nickelodeon were seeing eye to eye and production was off to a good start. An executive from Nick said to Jeff, "Okay, we can get $12 million if we put a pop song in the movie." The executive then proceeded to ask Smith if he thinks a Britney Spears or NSYNC song could fit in the film. Smith refused and went back to focusing on the comics. Meanwhile, the Nickelodeon Bone movie was cancelled. To this day, it's unknown how far Nick's version of the film got in production. Only 2 pieces of concept art are available for public viewing. In the Polygon interview, Jeff Smith also states that he had a miserable experience with Warner Brothers. In 2008, it was announced that Warner Brothers bought the film rights to Bone. A new project for a Bone film under Warner Brothers began production in 2009. This film would be a CGI trilogy based on the first 4 books in the series. Aiming for a PG-13 rating, the team quickly got to work, writing scripts and doing animatics. 2 years later, in the summer of 2011, a demo reel of the movie was shown to Jeff Smith. The footage lasted 4 minutes and was described as phone bone falling into water and a dragon appearing from the shadows and smoke. After watching the demo, Smith described the 4 minutes as being pretty mind-blowing. The film would be named Bone: Return of the Dragon and was projected for a 2014 release date. After a good start, years went by with no update on the project. In 2016, Adam Klein and director of Kung Fu Panda Mark Osborne was brought onto the film. This was promising news that, unfortunately, didn't lead to any progress. It's never been said how much animation was done for this movie. The 4-minute demo reel was not shown publicly, but I'm sure it's locked away somewhere at Warner Brothers. Or possibly Jeff Smith owns the footage. All we can see of this canceled film is the front page of a script from 2017. Speaking on this canceled film, Smith said that executives were very stubborn and didn't listen to his ideas. Because of these awful experiences with studios, Jeff Smith and his wife decided that when they get the rights back, they never wanted to talk with the studio executive ever again. Once the rights were reverted back to Smith, Netflix offered to make a Bone animated series. Unlike the previous companies, Netflix was receptive to Jeff's vision. Smith compared Netflix to Scholastic, saying those were two companies that know how to handle the series. He then reflected on his experience working with Netflix and stated that executives from the company said, quote, "We'll do it as an animated series. We'll follow the book and it'll unfold in much the same way that it did in the chapters of the comics." At this time, the animated series was still in the writing process. Jeff Smith and his dream team were firing on all cylinders, putting in the work to make this show a masterpiece. Smith went on to say, "Netflix is the perfect home for Bone. Fans of the books know that the story develops chapter by chapter and book by book. An animated series is exactly the way to do this. The team at Netflix understands Bone and is committed to doing something special. This is good news for kids and cartoon lovers all over the world." Some time went by, and very quickly, positive turned to negative. On April 20th of 2022, TheWrap.com reported that Netflix's Director of Creative Leadership and Development for Original Animation, Phil Renda, was fired along with most other members of the animation department. Creators that no longer work for Netflix revealed that several major projects have been canceled. These crucial changes are because of Netflix losing over 200,000 subscribers in the first 3 months of this year, leading to the stock price of the company to plummet. This is a bad move for Netflix, and worst of all, at the head of the canceled projects is Bone, the animated series. Once again, an attempt to bring the beloved comic series to screen has failed. On April 22nd, series creator Jeff Smith responded to the breaking news with a Twitter post. The tweet reads, "Sigh," and shows a comic strip showing Phone Bone about to kick a football. He represents Jeff Smith in the series. The character holding the ball for him represents Nickelodeon, Warner Brothers, and Netflix. Each time Phone Bone goes to kick, the other character moves the ball, causing Phone Bone to miss and fall down. The comic strip ends with Phone Bone laying on the ground defeated, saying, "Never again," just before another company tries to introduce themselves. The comic strip is signed by Jeff Smith at the bottom, and it also reads, "With apologies to Schultz." This is referring to Charles M. Schultz, creator of the Peanuts comic strip that introduced Charlie Brown and Snoopy. Schultz was an inspiration for Jeff Smith. His father would read the Peanuts comic strip to him every Sunday. Netflix really dropped the ball with Bone. Smith had the perfect team and was ready to go, just to face another cancellation. I think it's safe to say We will never see Bone go from the book to the screen. In an interview with YouTube channel The Comics Cube, Smith confirmed that he had seen storyboards and animatics for the animated series, and stated that they were very promising. If anything, I hope a pilot episode was finished so maybe one day we can see what could have been.